This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
Once or twice is an accident, but after that they have to know what they're doing.
Shaken and frustrated, tonight an assistant fire chief is speaking out after her station was hit by gunfire for the third time this year. Thanks for joining us at 5 o'clock. I'm Holden Kerwicki. Mike Bush has the evening off. Hundreds of shots were fired over a long period of time Saturday afternoon. Unfortunately, Camp Jackson Fire Station, Cahokia Heights, was caught in the middle of it once again. Our Mercedes McKay has the story from the Metro East.
It was a quiet Sunday morning in Cahokia Heights, a completely different scene than what took place less than 24 hours ago.
It was literally probably 300 rounds.
On Saturday afternoon, Camp Jackson Fire Department Assistant Chief Sharon Davis heard what she thought was somebody hammering, but instead it turned out to be gunfire, the bullets striking their building.
Cars were stopping, there were people that were walking and they were looking around trying to figure out where to go. The business across the street, they were shutting their bay doors.
The shots going off for almost an hour. Neighbors in nearby homes even finding shell casings on their porches.
It's really scary when you don't know where it's coming from because I worry about our firemen, I worry about the community.
But that worry is starting to be coupled with frustration. Since this is the third time this year alone, her station has been the victim. Lime green duct tape still acting as a Band-Aid over the last two strikes.
New Year's Eve, we had the first window shot out. We just chalked that up as celebratory, fire. And then in January on like a Tuesday, they shot out 2 more windows.
Assistant Fire Chief Davis tells me the reason they had not fixed these broken windows prior was because it was happening so frequently. Then Saturday morning, they were actually talking about replacing the windows. And then just hours later, the station was struck again.
We all figure that it's probably like target practice or something, and they just don't realize when they're missing or what they're hitting is ricocheting off and hitting us.
And for a volunteer fire department like Camp Jackson, the cost to fix this damage is huge.
We operate on very little budget. The fire department itself doesn't get much money, and we own this building, so we're responsible for any of the repairs.
Which is why Assistant Chief Davis has one thing to say to those pulling the trigger.
You own your bullet. You shoot it, it's going to go somewhere. Be responsible for where it goes.
Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
We reached out to the St. Clair County Sheriff's Department to see if they had any information on the shots fired, but we have yet to hear back. If you want to help the Camp Jackson Fire Department replace the broken windows, head to our website and look for this story under the As Seen on TV section. It was a warm and windy day throughout the bi-state, but that sunshine we're seeing over Old Town now may not last all week. Scattered clouds and rain could be headed our way. We've got Gary Frank here with a look at our first weather forecast. Gary, when should we break out the umbrellas?
Probably not for a while. I think we're in pretty good shape here for now as we look at mainly focusing on the wind here at the moment. We're going to continue to look at breezy conditions here overall. And I think as you look downtown in Edwardsville, the wind has been a big factor for us all day long. It's incredibly breezy. We have a strong south breeze gusting to close to 40 miles an hour in Alton. And we're going to continue to see this here over the next several hours as breezy conditions still continue. Temperatures, though, have rebounded nicely. Though we're in the mid to upper 70s this afternoon. We're at 73 degrees after we got to 75. So very warm, but a consistent breeze out of the south at 21 miles an hour, but it's still very dry. Our visible satellite shows some of that low cloud cover that I mentioned last night that would impact some of our areas further to the south. And that's kind of what's stuck around, and it impacted our high temperatures, which we'll show you shortly. Otherwise, it's as clear as can be. It's still breezy this evening with 72 degrees. That breeze continues. Overall, though, the next few days, it's close to 80 again tomorrow as this warmer air mass is sticking around. But that front has stalled a little bit as we see those few rounds of storms that you mentioned. So don't get used to this 80-degree stuff on a consistent basis. We'll talk about how that front impacts us and when that rain arrives here in about 10 minutes.
All right, thank you, Gary. Tonight, we're taking a look at a couple of shootings that happened today in the metro area. The first happened early this morning in St. Louis's Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood. Police say they found the victim, 28-year-old Brittany Ritchie, lying on the sidewalk along Thomas Street around 3 a.m. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have arrested a suspect. They haven't identified that person or what may have led up to the shooting. An investigation is ongoing at this time. Around noon, we got word of a shooting at the North Hanley Metrolink station. County police say officers found a man suffering from a gunshot wound. He is expected to live, but was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. We're trying to learn more about both of these shootings. We will keep you updated as that information comes into our newsroom. If you have any information about any of these crimes, you can leave a tip to Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Clarence Holmes and Teron Young are facing murder charges for armed criminal action. Holmes was also charged with an unlawful possession of a firearm. Last month, police responded to a shooting on Martin Luther King Drive and Marcus Avenue. That's where they found Anthony Jefferson on the sidewalk, dead. According to a probable cause statement, the suspects and the victim were in a feud at the time of the shooting. Both suspects are currently in custody without bond. A shooting at a Kansas City high school left 2 people injured, including 1 kid. Now parents around St. Louis are worried about their own children's safety. The shooting happened during a basketball game at North Kansas City High School against Stanley High. Shots were fired toward the end of the game near the field house outside of the school. Just a day after the shooting, another sporting event is still scheduled to take place. Parents are focused on gun violence awareness with Moms Demand Action. They have either lost a child themselves or had a family member who is now a survivor of a school shooting here in St. Louis. Sharon Williams is one of those moms.
So I can only imagine how the parents at that basketball game, probably some like my sister, just dropped their kids off, went on running their errands, and then to hear that there's a shooting and not know where your child is.
Williams says that schools can benefit from more safety measures at these games, like metal detectors or more police officers. Plus, encouraging parents to talk about their kids a little more on being safe in crowds. 5 on Your Side's Annie Crawl will have additional calls to action from concerned parents coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. Still to come, aid dropped into Gaza as talks for a ceasefire reach a dead end. We have the latest from the Middle East.